Well, welcome to an Essential Oils Basic 101 class on this virtual platform. I've been asked to do this for a while, and just to get it done quickly, I'm doing it in my bedroom, as you can see, and just on my computer. And hopefully, you are somewhere comfortable too. You can just watch this at your leisure, do some playback over the next couple of days. This class is in two parts. So, this is the lecture portion of the class where I'm just going to talk about the essential oils and what they are, how they work, some science behind how they work. And then we have the public forum on Facebook where that's where we're going to be talking more about the specific oils that you can use every day, like peppermint, lemon, lavender. And that's going to be an excellent place to ask questions, to learn how other people are using the oils. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, as far as the forum, just ask the person who sent you the link to this video. And just really quick, on that forum, please make sure you go down to the first part of the forum. That's going to be where all of the oil safety guidelines are. That's really important to me, and why I started teaching classes in the first place was just seeing some improper usage with oils and the effects of that. And so just the safety is really important to me. It'll talk about like what a hot oil is, proper dilution for adults and children, special populations if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. And so make sure you check out that portion on the page. So if nothing else. All right. So who am I? I am Maiklin Bolden, and I have a master's degree in speech language pathology. And how that pertains to what I'm going to be talking about in this class is just that I have a extensive training in neuroscience. It's the study of how the brain works with the body. I also am a young adult fiction author, and that came more therapeutically for me as a couple of years ago just found myself in a bad place physically and eventually made the connection that I had embraced three really bad best friends at that time, and that was fear, stress, and anxiety. And in order to get myself back into a good place physically, mentally, I had to do some research on how emotions, whether negative or positive, as well as our thought lives, impacts our overall health. So I'm going to be tying in some of that information tonight. And so that book series that I wrote is basically that character discovering that it's a good day when you realize you don't have to obey every emotion or thought that you have. So, quickly, I am not here to diagnose, treat, or cure anything, and neither are these oils. I do believe they're a great asset to your overall wellness and vitality, just kind of that wellness journey that you're on. And I started using them about a year ago when I was pregnant with my little girl. I guess really it's been about 2 years ago, and just looking for more natural options, obviously. And I think that our culture is moving more that way. So we're moving more from wanting to pop pills to looking at more natural options, especially when we watch these, commercials at the pharmaceuticals with all these taglines at the end of the commercial, and you're kind of thinking, is this going to help me or is this going to harm me if I take this? And I think I forgot to say that I'm also a full-time mommy and a wife, and of course love the essential oils. And there are some FDA regulations that have recently been placed on what I'm allowed to say the oils can do specifically. So if I have some moments where I pause on this video, that's probably because I'm thinking about how to stay within those boundaries. So sorry for any lag time. All right, so essential oils, how do they work? But first of all, let's talk about what they are, okay? Essential oils are the lifeblood of the plant, okay? You think about what your blood does in your body. This oil, this essential oil, is going to be moving throughout the plant during the course of the plant's entire lifetime, giving it the nutrients it needs, helping with the repair. And we're more familiar with the fatty oils. That's going to be, coconut oil, olive oil, the things that we cook with. And that's in the seed of the plant. And that's just to perpetuate the species of the plant. If you've ever torn a leaf of a plant and you kind of see that liquid rush to that spot, to that wound, that's the essential oil of the plant. And so it's just to sustain that plant throughout its lifetime, giving it everything that it needs. Okay, so I've got some notes over here and I want to make sure I give you the right numbers. So I probably will be referencing or looking over this way some, but basically a essential oil is extremely complex. So a couple things. In one drop, there is over 40 million trillion molecules. We don't have near that many cells in our body. So one drop of oil is able to get, because of the way it's able to absorb, it's transdermal. and liquid soluble, so it can get easily through your skin into your system, your bodily fluids. So it can get into every cell in your body within 20 minutes, which is just amazing to me. So if you were here with me right now, I would give you a bottle of peppermint, and I would want you to take a drop and put it on your foot because that's a nice porous place, and then tell me how quickly you could taste it in your mouth. So just as some people that'll get really quick into taste buds, others it may take that full 20 minutes. So, but it's just kind of to show how quickly they can get into the system. And they're very complex in structure. There's all these chemical compounds or constituents, and that's within these oils. And just really quickly, that's going to separate a aromatic oil from a therapeutic grade oil. And I'm not going to be talking about therapeutic grade oils. These chemical compounds are able to go into our bodies within the cells and kind of help aid the body in the repair process we're going to talk about. So 98% of the industry, the marketing industry, or the kind of the companies within essential oils are mostly just going to be for aromatics. They're going to distill those leaves or those herbs and skim off the top and just get what it needs to have a nice perfume. Okay, it's just going to be perfume aromatics. Whereas in the distillation process for a therapeutic grade oil, it's going to take quite a bit longer. But they're going to make sure they have all these chemical compounds or constituents that are needed to help us in our body. So I know that's a little bit sciencey, but hopefully makes somewhat some sense. All right, and so another thing is that they're really, really small. So those things that we cook with, the fatty oils, they're big. And if you've ever put, coconut oil on your skin, takes a little bit of time for it to absorb. It's almost like a sunblock, a barrier, if you will. Whereas these essential oils are so small, they absorb very quickly. But what's phenomenal about that is they can also go through the blood-brain barrier. And what that means is our brain has a sieve where it's only going to let molecules of a certain size into that tissue. And so why that is really neat or phenomenal, in my opinion, is just that, when scientists or different researchers are looking for therapies or drugs for brain, cancer, or different things going on with the brain, it's very difficult because they have to find molecules that will be able to pass through that blood-brain barrier. So the essential oils are able to pass through that. They're excellent detoxers, which we're going to talk about, but they are really powerful in antioxidants, which I didn't know when I was first using them. So on the ORAC scale, which is how we measure antioxidants, something that we're familiar with would probably be something like, let's see, a prune. A prune is 13,000 measured on that antioxidant scale. And a wolfberry is going to be the highest. You might be more familiar with the term goji berry, but a wolfberry is going to be the highest on that ORAC scale, and it's at 25,000. The same measurement in clove oil is over 1,000,000. So powerful antioxidants. Antioxidants, that's a bit of a buzzword to me. My best kind of illustration of what they do for our bodies is if you have an apple and you cut it, after a period of time, that apple is going to begin to brown. But if you take lemon juice and you apply it to that apple, it's going to keep it longer, keep it good for a bit longer. And so that's really what antioxidants are doing for our bodies. They're kind of just slowing down that decaying process and keeping us good for a little bit longer. So that's kind of essential oils and what they are. I'm going to post a slide up on the forum so you'll be able to kind of look at that more thoroughly, take some notes if you need to. But how do essential oils work? They really aid us in the repair process of our bodies, much like they do the plant that they're in. So we have toxins build up in our bodies, our cells. I'm sure you've heard that. And it can be anywhere from the things that we eat, the air that we breathe, the different, cosmetics that you use or detergents or soaps, all of those different things. If you've had damage to your body, been in a car wreck, something like that, you've got damage to those cells, those tissues. But we also create, I think a lot of people don't know this, we also create toxins within ourselves. And studying the impact that negative thoughts or positive thoughts, as well as emotions, have on the body, I learned that scientifically speaking, if we embrace a negative emotion for over 6 minutes, and something we might be all familiar with, let's see, anxiety, for instance, or an anxious thought, or something about worry. it will suppress your immune system for over 21 hours. So it's going to kill basically your B cells, your T cells, your killer cells. Those are the things that are all helped to fight with your immune system and basically keep you healthy. So we create those toxins within ourselves, and which is very heavy sounding because a lot of people at this point look at me and say, "Oh gosh, what have I been thinking about today?" But the good thing is there is mercy. Every morning we get 1 million new neuron cells every morning to get over and create new pathways of good thinking and have and embrace positive emotions. But the essential oils really aid the body in kind of detoxing those cells. So here's your science lesson for today. The cell, we've got the cell wall. We're just going to talk about the parts of the cell really quick. And you've got the mitochondria, the cytoplasm, and then in that middle of the cell is the cell nucleus. Okay, that's the control center of that cell. Within that cell nucleus is your DNA. Okay, it's like a little cocoon, and it's actually unzipped by our thought life. So a lot of people think that the brain controls our body, but it's actually our thoughts that control our brain and our body. So very important, again, on what we're thinking about. So DNA, I like to say, is basically all the recipes needed to create you, but it's also all the recipes needed to keep you operating and functioning properly. Okay, so let's say we would never do this, but we live in a house and all of our cookbooks are bolted into the living room. So if I'm in the kitchen and I want to make something to eat, I have to go to the living room. I have to copy down or find the right cookbook first, copy down that information, go back to the kitchen, decode what I've written down, and then make the food. So that's really what goes on with our cells. They're kind of talking to each other in that DNA and keeping you organized and functioning. They're transferring information. If there's toxins build up, miscommunication begins to occur, or basically disease and dysfunction. Okay, and so it would be just like if I put, sugar instead of salt, or I grab the wrong recipe, it's going to have a different impact than what I was going for. And so with our cells, there begins to be some misinformation that they're getting. And so with the essential oils, they're able to go to those cell receptor sites and actually clean them out, detox them if there's any type of something that would impact your immune system. Sorry, I'm trying to keep within my boundaries of the FDA. And then also, if it's going to tell that cell what it was meant to do. If it's got wrong, if it has received wrong information, it will say, you are not created to do that. And it will reprogram it with the right information, say, this is what you were created to do. Now go and do it. The beauty of that is essential oils are always telling your body the truth. So you can use multiple oils at the same time. So kind of to pause there and to go from the difference between a medication and essential oil, my best illustration is that basically, if there's a fire in your house, a fire in your body rather, you've got some symptoms going on, a medication is going to go to the fire alarm, the smoke detector that's going off, and take out the batteries. So it's not going to take care of the fire, but it's going to mask the symptoms for you a little bit. Whereas an essential oil is going to try to go to that fire and bring your body back to homeostasis. Okay, so you can use multiple oils at the same time, but I will say that just quickly, as I'm thinking about this, essential oils can interact with your medication. So I always tell people they need to talk to their doctor or do a little bit of research on certain oils and using with your medication. So just being careful there. All right. Another neat thing about that repair process as well, in lieu of kind of the difference between a med and the essential oil, is because it is aiding your body in that cellular repair, you should need, in theory, less and less and less of it. So there shouldn't be any kind of a drug dependency, so to speak, on the essential oil, if that makes sense. So another illustration just to kind of go in here and how the essential oils work is, and I think a lot of people, this can sound a little strange at first, but if you've ever had someone say to you, I like your energy, or something about we all have a frequency. And scientifically speaking or medically speaking, that is exactly true. If I have chest pain and I go to the emergency room, the first, test they're going to do on me is that EKG to measure the electrical signature of my heart rate. So we have medical equipment that can measure all of our different organs in megahertz, basically, the energy that we have. So we are beings that have energy. So, and frequencies. So if it's measured in that megahertz, its frequencies is how it's looking at energy and frequencies there. So essential oils themselves also can be measured in that same place. So they have frequencies. And the best illustration I have in how they work as far as frequencies and what that means or what it looks like if you're getting confused is if you look at a piano, and middle C is kind of health and where you want to be. And anything up into the soprano range, that's going to be even better health and wellness. And anything down in the bass is going to be disease and dysfunction. So you want to be at about 60 on that piano, and down in the 40s you may have cancer, or something of that nature. And then up here, going to be, I think the highest oil frequency is 300, and I want to say it's Idaho blue spruce. I think that's correct. And so what happens is, say that you have a difficulty and maybe something that's bothering you right here on your shoulder or something like that. And so you take that essential oil, you apply it there to that place, and it's going to try and find those cells that are all playing in the bass and bring them up to middle C or even higher than that, if that makes sense. So that's another way, just kind of illustration of how they work. All right, so that's how they work, what they are, how they work, and just a little bit of history really quick. The first time I ever heard of essential oils was in reading the Christmas story, and what was brought to the Christ child: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Those were all essential oils. The gold in Aramaic is actually a balsam oil. So I knew that they must be something that was special, since they were costly and were going to be given to a king. And so when I started looking at the biblical history of that time in Old Testament, New Testament, when someone was sick, they would typically go to the temple and the priest would anoint them with oil. And I think I always in my mind had that was cooking oil, olive oil or something like that. But it was actually the essential oil. And so when you go back and look at Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and it's so hard to get through some of those passages where the priests are, putting the oil behind their left ear or their foot, they're doing reflexology and they're actually anointing these different folks with essential oils. So that was really neat to me. So a couple of red flags you would need to look for and looking at different types of oils. They are excavating, Egyptian tombs right now, and the essential oils are in there and they are still good. So therapeutic grade oils should never have an expiration date. If you have essential oils right now and it has an expiration date, it probably has something synthetic in it. Also, an oil should smell like it should taste. So, meaning, say you have a basil oil, it should smell like basil that you're familiar with eating. And also, so that's something that we typically would cook with, basil, that plant. It should hopefully not say do not ingest. If it says do not ingest, they also probably put something synthetic in it. These therapeutic grade oils, Young Living, that we're going to be talking about, the FDA has actually granted them the right to put that we can ingest those as a dietary supplement. So they are really high quality. So be aware when you're looking at oils, there are some red flags there. And again, as I said, most of the industry is for perfume. All right. So they would not have the same impact as I just talked about as how they can aid your body in the repair process. Okay. Okay. And so there's 3 different ways to use the oils. How do we use them? And the first way is topically. That's going to be putting it on your skin. And what you need to know here are the terms dilute and neat. All right. Neat means you take that essential oil and put it directly on your skin. Okay. Dilute means you're going to take a carrier oil. That's going to be anything you cook with: coconut oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil, and you're going to just add that to the essential oil. And there's a couple reasons for that. The molecules are so small in that essential oil, sometimes they can evaporate too quickly, and so it's just going to make sure they actually get absorbed well into your skin. There's also hot oils that can cause some skin sensitivity. And so we want to make sure that they're so small. What's happening is the molecules are so small, they're absorbing so quickly into your skin, it feels like it's burning. So you may want to dilute so it's a little more comfortable for you. Always dilute when using oils with children. That's going to be in your safety portion. So make sure you check out the dosage and dilution ratios. And basically, and as far as where you apply topically, you can apply it directly where you need it. If you're not sure where you need it, if it's something more internal that's going on with you, you can put it on your feet. It's one of the most porous places on your body, so it's easily absorbed. And also, we have all these neuroreceptors on our feet that go to different parts of our body. And so I just kind of say that your brain, if you put it on your feet, your body will find where it needs to go to. Your brain, the pathways on there will find where it needs to go to, which is pretty awesome. Another place you can put them would be the pulsating points. It's going to be your wrist and behind your ears, where you just have these kind of large um, circulatory system outlets where it can get in there quickly. And just some quick things as far as usage and topical. Some people like to make creams with the coconut oil. Some people like to add the oils in like a little roller ball, and I'll try and post some pictures of those. They're just all different types of great tools to use when using oils topically. Okay, and then the next thing, or the next way to use the oils would be aromatically, and that's going to be just inhaling the oil directly from the bottle. That could be put in a diffuser. It can be a steam bowl where you just put some drops of the steam and cover your head, with a towel over that and just breathing it in. And one of the neatest things about aromatics is it is the quickest way for the oils to get to your brain. The olfactory nerve, kind of that sense of smell, goes directly to the limbic system, which is in our brain, and that's just the emotional cortex of our brain. And so a lot of times it's recommended to diffuse if you have emotional difficulties. So that, if you think about it, kind of the emotions of that cortex right there, it's going to impact I'm going to say this carefully, basic processes. And an example of that would be if you're angry, your blood pressure, your heart rate goes up. If you're anxious, your heart rate goes up. Maybe your stomach's producing more acid than it should. Maybe your melatonin that's created by these neurotransmitters in the brain, it starts to slow down and you can't sleep as well. It just kind of all impacts those basic processes, those emotions. And emotions are so important. And so even in the absence of hope, I just recently read this, and this is probably off topic, but in the absence of hope, I learned that the brain cognitively will not problem solve anymore. It will not look for another way out. And so it really is important to be emotionally healthy, just from a cognitive standpoint, from a physical standpoint, obviously from a mental standpoint. But what I think is awesome about the aromatics is it's the quickest way for the oil to get to your brain, and it can talk to those basic processes that are agitated, tell them to calm down, and even talk to the neurotransmitters to say, hey, calm down, so, secrete some more melatonin so they can relax, or serotonin so they can feel happy, or whatever it is. And you probably have even placed an emotion with the smell. If you ever smell something and said, oh, that smells happy, or if you smell something and triggers a memory. Also, a lot of the concentration and memory is in that portion of the limbic system. So a lot of people enjoy diffusing when they're writing or doing homework or different things like that. But it's just a really powerful way to stimulate your brain. And I think, too, to aid the body. And what I mean by that is this is my personal belief. I believe that you have to renew your mind. So if you've embraced anxiety, you've embraced anger, you want to flip that, into embracing, peace or something else. But as I said, if you've embraced it more than 6 minutes, it's already done some damage to your body. And so the essential oils are basically a great complement to that renewed mind to say, okay, body, we've changed our mind, now catch up and get into homeostasis. So aromatic is pretty awesome. And then the last way to use the oils is internally. And that's just going to be exactly what it is, taking the oils internally. That's going to be on your label. If it is a dietary supplement, most of them you can ingest. And me personally, I typically am going to ingest an oil in lieu, I think it's okay to say this, in lieu of a medication. So something, just a maximum dosage strong. The quickest way for, an oil to get in your system is going to be sublingual. So actually placing it under your tongue. A lot of people like to sip oils in water, particularly like the lemon, which is an excellent detoxer. And there's some safety things there. So just when you're looking at the lemon slide, I'll have that there. But the citrus oils you always want to drink in a glass cup because they're such excellent detoxers. They will detox your plastic for you, and you don't want to drink those toxins. It's not going to hurt you, but it will hurt your plastic. So you can also take these, so you can sip them in water. You can just put them sublingual. Some people like to just shoot them in a shot glass with some water, but you can also put them in a capsule as well, just like a vegetable capsule, and take it with some carrier oil. So those are the ways we can use the oils. And so we've kind of gone over a little bit of the science, what essential oils are, how they work, how we use them, some history. So I hope this is helpful to you and that you will join us on the forums, just talk about certain oils. And of course, again, I know I've harped on this, but please look at the safety guidelines, and thank you so much for joining us.